All right, so section 4.1. So section 4.1 was all about covering parallel lines, parallel planes, and also skew lines. So let's look at a few worksheet problems on here. So on number 1, we're given this figure. This is a triangular prism. And we're asked to identify in this triangular prism for number 1, name all the segments that are parallel to segment EF. Well, if we look in our figure right here, we know that side EF is this top edge right here. So we need to figure out what all segments are parallel to EF. Parallel meaning two sides that will never intersect. They will keep going in the same direction forever and ever and ever, but they will never actually intersect with one another. So I'm looking for two more sides that appear to be going both left and right and are in no way going to intersect with EF. So if I look, I should have HG right here. It's still going left and right. And if you were to imagine if this is basically a tent, this would be the top of your tent, and this would be one of the base edges of your tent. And then also JK, this other back edge as well, would be parallel to EF and would never intersect with it. So all the segments that are parallel to EF are HG and JK. So number 7 asks me to identify a pair of skew lines. Okay, so this time they give us this figure. This is a trapezoidal prism. Okay, and in this trapezoidal prism, we are asked to name a pair of skew lines. So the trick really here is just pick a line, and then once you've picked a line, then you can determine what all lines are actually skew with the line that you picked. Okay, so I decided to name a couple of examples. So let's just say, let's start with this segment, EF. Well, if I want to find a line that is skew with EF, then first I have to remind myself the definition of skew lines. So skew lines are two lines that are not intersecting, they are not parallel, and they are not coplanar. Okay, so there's really no characteristics of what skew lines are, but more what they are not. So the way to kind of determine if two lines are skew is we just cross off everything that we know is not skew, and then whatever we're left with can wind up being skew lines. So let's say that we're starting with this segment right here, segment EF. So this is the one we're looking for. Well, first off, any sides that are parallel with EF are going to get canceled out. Okay, so GH is going to get canceled out. Okay, we could also say AB is going to get canceled out. And then we could also say that CD as well will get canceled out. So right off the bat, we cross off any parallel lines to EF. Next up, we cross off any lines that are coplanar with EF. Or another way to think of this is EF is a part of both this trapezoid, this base right here, and also this top edge, this side, and this top edge, this top face, excuse me. So any lines that are connected to the faces that EF is connected to are coplanar with it. Okay, so EF is in a plane with these two sides right here, FH and EG, so they can't be skew to EF. EF is also coplanar with AE and BF here, so they cannot be skew to EF. So now at this point, I've taken out all lines that are parallel and all lines that are coplanar. And that's also going to take out any lines that are also intersecting with EF. So any lines that I haven't crossed off can be considered skew with EF. So I could have EF and DH. I could have EF and BD, EF and CG, EF and AC. And those are my different options for what I could have for skew lines. And again, there's a ton more examples of what we could have for skew lines. Again, it just depends on you pick one line and then you go through and you cross out the things that are parallel, intersecting, or coplanar with it. And whatever you haven't crossed out can be considered skew with the line that you originally picked. So another example was AB and CG. All right, number 11 asks us to Name 3 planes that intersect at a point. Well, in this trapezoidal prism, there are 8 points. So just pick one. Okay? So let's say we wanted to pick point B right here. Okay? Let's say we're going to look at that point. Well, if I want to name 3 planes that are intersecting at point B, I just need to look at point B and see which 3 planes is it a member of. Well, point B is a member of this trapezoid. This is one of the bases. So this could be my plane ABD. Point B is also part of this top face right here, this top rectangle. So we could call this plane EFB. And B is also going to be a member of this front-facing face right here, this front rectangle. So we call this plane BFH. Remember, whenever we name a plane, we just say the word plane and then name 3 points that are in that plane. So all 3 of these planes, planes ABD, planes EFB, and planes BFH, all share point B in common. So they all intersect at that point B. So again, you could pick any one of these points and name the 3 planes that intersect at that spot.